way we read fetishism today, which is the 50 Shades of Grey fetishism, is derived from this principle, but it's not the basis of the idea. Therefore, this the selection we made in the trends and in the seams and in the clothes is really between these two domains. So there is the domain of pain and pleasure and bondage, and then there is the domain of shamanism, voodoo, and a more ecological aspect. And finally, we think that in the future there will be some meeting of these two ideas where the erotic and the spiritual actually will blend. This is what you feel when you go to the exhibit. Another important thing I have to tell you about the general aspect is that we choose early on to go for talent from all over the world. To go to the youngest generation of designers to have very experimental clothes. Draagbaarheid in Dutch, that's not the word really in English, is therefore not a criterion. It's not about can you wear it or not. Most of these things are pretty difficult to wear, but they are very inspiring for a pret-a-porter to then spin off these ideas. So somehow when you go around these rooms, you will have the same experience, that you get very excited because you feel that fashion is starting to move again. That after 20 years being the same and more of the same, luxury, red carpet and so on, suddenly we see that it opens up with so many ideas, it's unbelievable. So the niveau of creation is out of your mind, unbelievable. And it's so creative that to bring in some brands and some famous designers was very difficult because they are too boring. It's very amazing. So we could only bring in the most adventurous old designers, always there when you need to, and some young brands. But let's say the luxury brands cannot be here because it's just not good enough. Without Philip Fimano, this would not have happened. We have done this together as a team, so it's we and not me. And furthermore, he has been assisted by Willem Schijn, he's here. He is an intern from Amfi Amsterdam, and he brought all the fashions in. Now he had to spend more than 50 emails on every dress, more than 5 phone calls on every dress. Some dresses he had to go to fly to London, to beg, to go on his knees, reading me, can I have this dress? It's very difficult to get these things together today. The houses are too busy, not interested. It's not big, but he did it, and everything is in except only 3 pieces. So we see more than 150 pieces of fashion. So that was very great. We are going to look at man and his clothes and the content of fashion. We're going to see the totemic and more primitive aspect, and we're going to look at the animal in us also this day. We are going to explore the erotic aspect, but also the mythological aspect, the fringe and haberdashery, which is a very important factor to bind everybody together. And there's going to be amazing headdresses, masks, veils, and so on. And there is going to be an absurdist aspect as well. We choose 13 fetishes because it's the year 13, which is a very good number for a fetishistic inspiration. I believe that we are all interested in fetishism because we are all born in bondage. We are born with the cord around our body, and we are severed, and then our separation angst is starting, and therefore I think it concerns every person in this room and in the world. The first idea is nudism, where you will see amazing masks and headgear, where you will see a very interesting movie of people dancing in nude clothes, where you will see amazing nude dresses, in the color nude, trying to pretend you're not dressed, but you're very dressed actually. virus and yin. They're sort of parallel. One is more hard, one is more soft. This is how it's going to be when you go there. And there is sadomasochism, which is certainly one of the most powerful rooms in the house, where we show how designers are using accessories, masks, garments, shoes, and it is actually an overpowering experience. It is so unanimous and from all over the world that it's pretty sure that this is a, let's say, a mega trend. Then there is a new idea of infantilism, where we try to be baby all our life and we don't want to grow up. And on the internet this is a very big fetish, a sex fetish. But in fashion, and especially in Japan, this is a new way to dress like a baby. So in our room you will see little baby boy grenouillères, you see in French, like all-in-ones. You will see the bib, and this is how the room is looking. It's very cute. They're all together in a box. Because people have sex in the box actually. And in big baby beds, and all the big accessories you see, like the big ramonars and pacifiers, they're all from internet, from sex sources on the internet. Then there is the regionalism, which is a very beautiful room dedicated to the idea of folklore and regional fashions from Northern Europe, Eastern Europe, England. But funny enough, it's really traditional, but when you look at the clothes, they're not. They're very inspirational, because this is, for instance, sort of punk folklore. And then there is amazing boys' outfits as well, and they're all in a carousel dancing around their center. The patriotism is a similar tendency, where we want to think about nationalism and heirloom, and where young people are trying to fight back. This is about hooligans, this is about fighting, this is about street fighting, killing in the streets, and so on. So it's a pretty aggressive room, where you can see that the mannequins are wrestling together with new forms of streetwear, interpreted by young designers in a very violent way. You see, this is how it looks. Then we have a small room dedicated to Japan. The Japanese are always taking care of nature. They are making the beautiful ponds. They wrap the trees in winter because it's cold. They cut the bonsai, to be precise. They roll the sushi, and they roll their lovers into ropes. So everything the Japanese do is always trying to master nature. And this is why we choose to have Japan also in our selection, because there is a big trend, of course, at this point, since we are so in awe of how that country is coping with today's disasters. We have the beautiful pictures of Erwin Olaf in that room. And we have a few but very interesting outfits. And there is an amazing video of Galliano for Dior in a show which was entirely geisha. Then there is an amazing room of consumerism. This is important because, again, young designers all over the world don't agree with the overconsumption and with fast fashion and low prices. So what they did is they just take a waste bag full with clothes and they dump it on the mannequins. And you will see the whole room is full just with people doing that in amazing proportions. This is part of that room. And this is the centerpiece of that room. In front of that room, it's not ready yet, but it will be ready, I hope, for tomorrow or for Sunday. We will have a small cabinet with 13 t-shirts printed with the victims and the rubble of Bangladesh, with 7 carry bags with the labels of the brands found under the rubble, and with the music of George Harrison, Bangladesh. We're not going to say anything more about it, but we want to say, but there's a text saying, please stop. If you love people, you cannot kill them for fashion. It's like animals, if you love animals. So Then there is the romantic aspect, which is a very important tendency to come for next winter, and which is one of the most amazingly beautiful rooms, I think, in terms of outfits and detailing. And there is this very tender and emotional aspect with this amazing embroidered beers. There's a spiritualism room, of course, because the spiritual is very much on our mind in the fetishistic aspect, where you will see the looser, more simple and minimal clothes with lots of hoods and capes and covers. A very silent thing. And not so silent is the idea of legendism, which is a sort of celebration of beauty, celebration of stories from the Olympus, celebration of very crafted ideas, amazing grace, I would say. Really, this is fit for the Golden Globes and for the Oscars. And there is amazing accessories. All the accessories are pretty stunning. Then we have absurdism, which is almost like you go to a sculpture park. This is Sonsbeek in fashion, you can say. Because young designers are interested in very exaggerated shape, almost making a statement of volume and beauty and serenity, and lots of it is like living in the clouds. And we have all these things here in Arnhem. Then there is nomadism, which is a more, let's say, streetwise trend. It's very important for the new generations that they can go everywhere, anywhere, because they have their Wi-Fi and their tools, their smart tools, so they don't need to be they need to have a fixed house anymore. They can be on the road, and this is what you see in fashion, creating this amazing new, more sturdy outerwear pieces, where the fetish is really in the backpacks and the Velcro and the lace-ups and so on. Then there is the shamanism room, which is about the more spiritual side of things, with very voluminous clothes, and they really look like shaman coats and even like a voodoo